Either she homeless or she got problems. That's the only reason why she run to a black man.
I like him already.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on!
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
Producer, director, writer. He is the ultimate filmmaker and bona fide foodie. You're listening to The Quidditas Factor with Michael J. Arbouet.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of The Quidditas Factor with Michael J. Arbouet. Thank you for coming back and listening to this show. In today's episode, we're going to be talking to Royce Johnson, who is an actor and also a producer. And what's great about his stories, he makes you believe. He makes you believe in that thing, that special thing that you have, that Quidditas. But what does that word Quidditas mean? Adriana gave them the definition.
Quidditas, Latin, the whatness of a thing, the essential nature of something, the quality that makes a thing what it is.
Yes, Quidditas is the whatness or essence of a thing or person. And in today's episode, we're going to be going over how you should believe in yourself. It reminds me of a quote by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, which basically states, as soon as you trust yourself, you will know how to live. And believe me, Royce knows how to live. You might recognize him from the television show Daredevil. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this interview with Royce Johnson. So let me start off by asking you this question. Let's go back to the beginning. What did you want to be when you were a kid? Let's start around like 8 years old.
I mean, that's a question that most people, mine was a little different than most people's, answer. I just wanted to be in front of the screen. I wanted to be famous, and what does I want to be famous entail? They never teach you that. Most people say, hey, I want to be a doctor, a lawyer. I wanted to follow my dream. Mm-hmm. And my dream was to be seen and tell my story. In New Orleans, we got something we call the second line, man, where, we dance in front of like hundreds of people in certain groups, and they follow us along a path in New Orleans with the music and the jazz band playing behind you. So when I would go to school the next day, I had been doing it since I was like 6 or 7. So when I would go to school the next day, people would like, I saw you dancing, man. You were great, man. You're a great entertainer. So to answer your question, I wanted to be an entertainer since before I could remember, man. And the club was a majority of like men, grown men. There was no kids allowed to do this. So I begged my dad and asked him, could I join his club and become a member of the Scene Boosters Club that he was a part of. Now, this was a traditional thing in New Orleans. And my mom was like, if I spend all this money to get you a tailor-made suit, some shoes, and you're going to be dancing for like 4 hours with breaks in between, are you able to do that at the age of like 7 years old? So what she did was she played music for me outside on our porch and out in front of the house, man. And she made me dance for like, 5-6 hours straight, man, almost. With breaks, just to see if I had the endurance to do something like that. That's why my hands go up to kid actors, man. People don't realize the hours it takes and the sacrifices and stuff to do what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, so I think, asking me what I wanted to be when I grew up at that age was pretty broad. I don't think I had a solid answer off the bat to say, hey, I want to be an actor. I don't think that came until after the Army. I mean, we're talking like, I'm 20 years old at this point. Mm-hmm. I just knew I had to go to college and decide, pick a career or get a career. I wanted to be noticed at that age because I was so used to being in the front row. In the military, we compete a lot. We get promoted. We go through these training exercises, endurance courses and stuff. And so we compete a lot. It's like being an actor is like being an athlete. My athletic skills were not great, bro, growing up. So I couldn't catch a football. I mean, I love sports, but, I couldn't dribble. I loved to play. I tried it all. baseball, everything, man. And then I found something that I was just, I was good at, you know, and I wanted to capitalize on something that I knew I could move the crowd with, like Rakim would say, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't a lyricist and nothing like that. I didn't rap. I used to dance. I had a great memory. So I put all those forces together, man, and say, look, I'm going to follow my dream. I'm going to become an actor, you know?
Yeah.
I had no idea what it entailed until I got accepted into the school, you know, until I got accepted into Purchase, SUNY, and I realized, I said, wow, man, this is a lot of work, bro. And, you know, some people think acting is just memorizing lines and going on screen and just saying those lines, but a lot goes into, you know, a character. The background of that guy, giving that character a life, making those words come to life, and you create a human being. You do that.
Mm.
That's a lot of work, bro. Mm-hmm.
So when did you really realize that acting was your thing?
That happened about, I would say, halfway into my freshman year, because I left the military and I went straight to SUNY Purchase.
Mm-hmm.
They required us to do 2 monologues, you know, contrasting monologues, one Shakespearean and one contemporary. So I worked with my mom and grandma. They got me prepped up. They auditioned like 1,000 students, man. They only accept about 20 to 25. And I was one of those people. So right then and there, I knew I had a gift for something, to do something. I had never done stage plays or anything like that growing up in high school. So once they accepted me, 6 months in, I was like, man, we got to take this serious, because either we're going to go back to the military or we're going to go full out with this acting thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You got to dedicate your life to this, because going to conservatory, you don't have the typical college life, you know? You're up at 8 a.m. doing yoga and movement, and after 5 or 6 p.m. in the evening, you're rehearsing until about 11 p.m. and you're doing it all over again the next day. So we're putting in about 15-hour days as freshmen.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't do our first play until the end of sophomore year. So you have 2 years of just straight training, speech, movement, what's your type, dialects. I mean, you name it, we did it, you know. Vocal coaches, your weak points, things you got to work on, you know, those go into that first 2 years. And then after that, they start to make cuts where they realize, you know, this is not for you. And then the class got even smaller. So now we're down to like 16 people. So the next 2 years, the 16 of you guys get together, you hone in on your craft a little harder. And from there, you know, they introduce you to the world at the end of the 4 years. You know, they have what they call the consortium, where they invite all the managers, agents, casting people to come and see you do 2 scenes, 2 minutes. And at the end, they give you an envelope, and you open up your envelope, and they could have no names in there, or they can have, you know, as many as 15, 20 names in there. Casting, managers, agents, for you to take meetings. You're still not signed yet to an agency. This is just to meet you, to meet the person that they saw up there. So your fingers are crossed, man. You're like, please pick me, you know. But then you're doing what you've learned in those 4 years, and your classmates have helped you out, you know, to get prepared for this mighty day. I call it the actor draft, you know.
So after all that training and all that work, how many of your fellow students were left?
16.
16, wow. So at the end of that, did you end up getting an agent right away, or did you just start auditioning?
I did, man. I was blessed, man. I took some meetings. I got a commercial agent that was interested in me, and 2 legit agents, which is film and television. So it was one of those 2. The first meeting didn't go so well, you know, but the second one went great. You know, I signed with the Wolf Group. It was Shy, was Clay Rose at the time. She wasn't a partner. And she treated me like I was Kobe Bryant, man. She, you as an actor, man, but sometimes, everybody's saying that they're self-motivated, but we got some insecurities there, especially when you're so green coming out of college. Everybody wants to be the next Denzel or next Spike Lee, whatever your thing is, but it doesn't happen that quickly for some people. Well, most people, your number doesn't come up that fast. So I met with her. We did some plays and we did some regional theater just to hone in on my craft, get comfortable in front of large groups. Because people don't realize when you're on set and you're doing a scene as many as just a monologue or one scene partner, but you have at least about 50 people around you sometimes. And it's very, intimate. And people don't realize that when you shoot. So just to get comfortable doing that. So we would do co-star roles like on the local shows like Law and Order. At the time, I think my first job was Third Watch was out. And I was like a courtroom bailiff. And I was nervous as hell, man, just reading a docket number, But we got comfortable doing that. And in school, they focus more on like stage. But I was getting a balance of the two. I was getting a lot of stage, and I was also getting a lot of television. So I just wasn't as comfortable in front of the camera as I was on stage. And I continue to do both simultaneously,
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's harder to be a black actor trying to make it? Do you feel there's a difference?
You're competing against people, but don't doubt yourself so much. I'm too light, I'm too tall, I'm too dark, I'm not old enough, I'm too young. There's 1,000 things that go through a casting agent's mind when they're cast or a play or a commercial, at least, or just on stage. So just have that confidence that this is what you want to do. You love doing this, and stay at it and keep practicing, Like I said earlier when we spoke, I'm not good at sports. But if you throw a football at me 20 times, I'm bound to catch one of those passes. And that's all you need, for you to get your career on track. Get that one job turns into 2 jobs. Someone sees you, a director sees you, a casting person sees you, and they like your work. And you may not book the first 5 jobs in that casting, but the casting person I had was Pat McCorkle. She called me in for things sometimes I knew I wasn't right for, but just to get the practicing of auditioning, because that's another whole beast that people don't even know about. Yeah, you can act, you're talented, you're funny, you're well-spoken, but can you audition? Because these people don't know you. They're just meeting you for the first time. You're walking in and you got about a couple minutes for them to get to know you and book you on something or give you a call back. So that's what I can give to them. I can give to them just stay at it. I don't have a magic key code number to say, hey, if you do this many times, or if you study or read this book, you're going to make it, because that's not what it's about. This is a hands-on job. This is a blue-collar job. It's like being an athlete. The more you run, the more you catch. Your endurance, all that matters in becoming an actor.
So I'm going to ask the question that everybody's been waiting for. Tell me about that first time you got on Netflix's Daredevil.
Oh, wow, man. This is a great story. I always talk about this one. The audition came to me like about 5 something on a Friday. Now, if anyone knows, Friday is like the weekend. You're ready to start. You've been auditioning all week. Who holds auditions on a Friday? I went to Julie Schubert's office, and I didn't know what I was auditioning for. The room was so small. There was no posters on the wall, nothing. It's like walking into a bare bathroom. But they made us sign an NDA, and I signed it. And, I did the scene. I played enough cops, FBI agents to be able to master the aura of a person of law enforcement. Mm-hmm. So I did it. Maybe about 2 weeks later, I'm cleaning up my apartment, just New York life. And my agent calls, and he's like, you booked a Marvel television show. And I'm like, a Marvel TV show? We're not going on a Marvel television show, And he was like, remember that day, that Friday, because the one you didn't want to go on? That was Marvel. you know. And I was like, wow, had I known that, I probably would have freaked out. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I didn't know at the time. And it was just an honor. Like they say, you know, big things come in small packages. That was the perfect example of that. Because it was, like I said, there was nothing fancy about The Office. There was nothing highlighted to say this is a big project. Sometimes when we get stuff during January or through May, it's like pilots, it's new shows they're testing out. So it'll be titled Untitled Project without a name on it. And something like Marvel, because they're so, you know, so tight about leakage and stuff like that, they're not going to tell you 1 and 4 or what it's about until you actually get the job. And even when I did get the job, the first season, I never even got the whole episode. I only got my sides, which are the pages, your script that you have.
Right.
So I studied those, and mastered those and just try to have somewhat of a background, because before Daredevil, I read comics, but I never like actually read Daredevil and what that was his storyline. But once I got the job, I started to like dig deeper. And they didn't tell me how many episodes I would be in. I mean, this was like breadcrumbs being fed to me. So I saw my character, you know, his storyline wasn't that big. So I gave him a life, man. I worked hard, and I wanted the producers and the writers to see me, you know. And the harder I worked and pushed, and I always wanted to end with like a punchline, man. You know, the first season, like Bruce Willis in Die Hard. That was one of my first jobs. You know, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. You know, that was like, I don't know if you, but you would always remember that line. You know, like that movie. You just have to say the line, and you know what movie it is. Mm-hmm. I always wanted to lead Daredevil first season like that. And as I did that with my lines, you know, I got more screen time.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
so
man.
what doors did that open for you after doing that first season of Daredevil?
Well, it opened up, you know, getting a better agent. First of all, you know what I mean? I went up in class with that. Mm-hmm. It also opened up more casting agents wanting to meet me, being fans of the show. It also opened up recognition, you know, people knowing who I am, you know, just walking down the street or walking inside of managers' offices and casting agent offices. And that's what we work hard for. You know, that's what we want. You want to excel at your job. You want that championship ring, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what it did.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So I have to ask, you know, because now like you're so blessed. When you first got that job, how did your parents feel about what you'd done, accomplished at that moment?
Well, my mom, she's always been a big fan of mine, man. I mean, you know, your mom's your biggest fan, man. I could have been a grass cutter, man. Nothing against grass cutters. She'd be like, okay, baby, we're going to get the best lawns and we're going to cut the best grass, you know. So she was just glad that I got accepted into the school, you know. Mm-hmm. So getting a Marvel job, that was big for us. You know, we were making plans about when it comes out, we're going to have a watch party. We're going to get the family involved. And, they were just telling me that this is just the beginning of something great. And I was like, yeah, okay. You know, as an actor, when you're doing a job, sometimes you do the job, you're finished, but then you're thinking about your next project. And most people don't realize that, you know, while we're on set. But we did Daredevil, we finished, and I had to go do a play in Baltimore. But I knew it was coming out, so I didn't know how the audience would receive it, you know, because Netflix was trying something new at the time. You know, people don't realize that this was the first Marvel show on Netflix. And it turned out to be a success, man. And we just turned out to be a success. And we didn't know that at the time. But, you know, now we got a Save Daredevil campaign going with the fans. They don't want us off the screen, man. They want us back.
What's one thing that acting did for you that you didn't expect?
The endurance, you know, I didn't expect that I would have to embody a whole person that's totally opposite of me. I mean, everyone always brings a little of themselves into a character, but I did a play. I played Martin Luther King, and when you're playing somebody like Martin Luther King, I can't come out there as Royce. This is an iconic figure, man, in Black history and history itself, and American history. So people expect you to talk a certain way, walk a certain way, look a certain way, and that was new for me, because I always wanted to bring a part of myself in there. But when you have to embody someone else's soul and their background, no matter what character you're playing, when I played Brett Mahoney, once that costume comes on, Royce goes aside. He gets away. I become a person in law enforcement. I become a person who loves my job. I become a person who took an oath to protect and serve. And I became a person who has a life outside of just being Brett. And I wanted to bring that all to screen. I talk about my mom on the show, which was great. I talk about certain cliques and people that I know, like a Wilson Fisk. Like I know of him, but I don't know him personally. You got to bring all that into a character. It's not just, hey, I'm going to play a cop. What do cops do? How do cops walk? There's more to it than just Brett Mahoney in a uniform or wearing a badge on the show.
Mm-hmm. And
I try to relay that on screen as best I can. Some takes are better than others, but I try to give that to them. I get a lot of tweets and Instagram messages that say, man, you're a great cop, man. You're great. I love what you're doing on the show. But what I did when I first I wanted to make him a real person, man.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make him a living, breathing New York walk the beat cop.
Yep. And you definitely did that.
Yeah. That's overworked. That worked 12 hours, that is putting in overtime, that's tired of the corruption. I wanted that to read through the lines off the pages,
Mm-hmm. Wow. So what's one of the biggest challenges you've had with a specific role right now, and how are you going to overcome it?
It's just, when you get a job, sometimes there's an immediate, actors don't like to admit this, sometimes an immediate fear that comes on you, like, okay, I got the job, now I have to do this job and do it right. Some people like to say, hey, I'm a perfectionist, like I said before, but you're trying to give the best performance you can give. And sometimes, you have your insecurities that seep in a little bit. And overcoming that is being okay with not having a good take or something. I'm trying to put this into words because it's kind of hard to translate it.
Mm-hmm.
But you're moving on. You can do better, or you have done better, or not to critique yourself so much. That's the answer. Not to critique yourself so much, because you don't have to do everything, Royce. There's a scoring, there's a post-production process. There's a director that you have to trust. There's a camera guy that you build a relationship with, and not to think about so much during a scene. So that's one of the things that I had to learn being on screen. On stage, not so much, because we have rehearsal. You're doing the same play. You're rehearsing this play for 3-4 weeks. So you got time to chop it up.
Mm-hmm.
But on screen, you're actually working from action to cut. That's the only time you're actually working. The rest of your work is done at home, or on the side or in your trailer, conversing with the other actor that you're going to be doing a scene with. Because sometimes you don't even know that person. You're just meeting them for the first time, or going to the location for the first time, making it your home. So that's one of the things that I did learn, man, that you had to overcome those things. That it's not a play, that you don't have that long to dig deep into the lines that they give you. And making adjustments at the last minute was one of the things that I had to learn. Changing lines when you walk on set. I mean, you've been learning these lines all night long, and you get there and you have a new paragraph, or they've taken out that paragraph and they're giving you time to learn a new one in your trailer. Talk about heat under pressure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wow.
And making it your own that quickly with in 2 hours.
What's one of the best compliments you've ever received from somebody?
That one of the best compliments is you deserve it. People who watched my work over the years, from being on Law and Order or one of those shows and plays that I've done off Broadway, and to see my peers come up to me and say, "Man, it's about time. You deserve this." And having a proud mom to be able to, I just lost my mom recently, but
yeah, so sorry about that.
Appreciate it, man. So to have her cooking in the kitchen and hearing my voice on television in the back without her even knowing that I was going to be on television that day, and giving me a call and say, "Hey, American Gangster is on," or "I'm watching you on Law and Order," stuff that I did like 10 years ago, that brought a smile. That's like the biggest compliment I could receive.
Well, yeah. Outside of acting, what are you curious about right now?
Outside of acting, just getting in shape, man. I've never had to play the roles where you have to take your shirt off or, be that guy walking on the beach or whatever. So just getting in shape, doing that role where you're the eye candy in the film, that you have to come across as sexy.
Right.
So that'll be something good. And also comedy. I have a great personality, man. I mean, I'm being serious now, but I can tell a few jokes and laugh and have some fun and ask your brother, man. We get in there and we're like 2 high school seniors, man.
Yeah.
So that part of the house, I want to tackle some of that. I mean, not stand-up comedy, but just to do some good skits for some people, or, dive into a little directing. I've seen, I've shouldered some directors, and just because when you get a script of some sides at home, you're playing how you want the scene to go out in your head before you even get to work. So I think that's also having a little director's eye right there. But sometimes you're really directing yourself when you go out there, I've heard half the process is casting. So maybe outside of acting, do a little teaching, a little directing, a little comedy. That'll be a challenge for me. And getting in shape, like I said, getting in shape. That's what I want to get in shape and be that guy,
Yeah.
Yep. But in the quarantine process,
I'm definitely out of shape with
well, we all are, man. We all put on a few pounds, man. I'm in New Orleans, brother, I've definitely gained a little weight, man. So I'm trying to really come back hard, I'm trying to come back nice.
Okay. Yeah. So now that I got you laughing, I need you to tell me 1 or 2 funny stories that happened on set that you'd like to share with us right now.
Okay, funny things that happens on set. All right. So there was I'm not sure which episode it was. This is one of my funny moments in Daredevil. When we did that intense scene where we're in the church with Jay and Wilson, who's going to be, Bullseye, whatever. We're sitting there and it's a close-up shot. But we had ate lunch and everything before. We were joking. So now we're back on set. And we got to be serious, man. We got to keep a serious face because the FBI is there, Homeland, and I'm NYPD, and we all come together as a unit. And we're trying to be serious, man. I don't know how many takes we did, but we would always break character and start laughing because we were telling funny stories at lunchtime. And another one was a tongue twister that Eldon had. And when I read the script, I was like, man, I am so glad that this is not my line. And he did the line, man. I mean, if you look at the scene, man, the other actors, we're staring in different directions because we know that the line is a hard line to say. It's a tongue twister, man. What can I say? And he got through it, man. He got through it, bro. And the more takes we did, the more frustrated he got. So we were laughing. So we said, we're going to get serious, man. We want him to get through this, So we were pushing for him. But that was one of those funny days, man, that we had a lot of fun times on set. It's a family, we grew together as a unit, bro.
Yeah.
We started this together and we grew together. I remember when just talking to Charlie about being on Punisher and Daredevil, at the same time, shooting both shows simultaneously. I was like, man, I don't know, man. He was like, what? You better do this, bro. You got to do this, man. I mean, who can say that they're on both Marvel shows at the same time, man?
Yeah.
So I was like, well, the answer was yes, There were days that they thought I would be shooting both shows on the same day, but the producers worked it out, the scheduling worked it out where I didn't have to do that, thank God. But it came together, bro. It came together. I enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed it. I had fun, man.
That's great. What's one common myth about your profession that you want to debunk right now?
That it's fun. It's a game, Think back to when you were 12. You're a professional pretender, okay? Don't take it so seriously. Yes, we do work hard, long hours, but it's fun. It's a game, We entertain people. I don't want people to think that they can't pursue this job. Some people say, I'm too shy to be an actor, or I don't speak loud enough. I've heard people whisper on set, and it's still read on screen. So that's one of the myths, that this is a very, very tough job to break in, because it only takes one person to see you and believe in you. Like I said, working with your brother, man, he's like, yo, we got so much stuff to do. I love your work already. And then, you go from there.
Yeah.
Let the ball keep rolling. You go from there. So if you want to try it out. Take a class, and see if you like it. And you might get bit by the acting bug, and want to keep doing this job. So that's one of the myths that is so hard to break in this business.
I'll tell you a funny story.
It's not hard at all.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I went to film school. So I went to film school. I did the whole, Spielberg thing and moving out to California. And then, opposite, like my brother saw me doing it. He didn't go to school at all. And
right.
into the business via modeling at first. He was a model agent, and then just started doing stuff. And then at one point, he kind of surpassed me in my career, and we were kind of fighting. Wow. And man, I went to school for this, and you're just gonna come in here and play. I was so mad.
You see what I'm saying? Now, that's what I'm saying to people when I tell you about SUNY Purchase being a conservatory. I had no prior acting experience, bro. They auditioned 1,000 people. No acting experience. I went to school with like people who had been on Nickelodeon and have done commercials and, School of the Arts, LaGuardia, New York. And here it is, me, fresh out of the military. I always like to do that coming to America analogy. You know what I mean?
Right.
We saw Coming to America, right?
Oh, absolutely.
He's like, as we go to, we go to LA, tells we go to Queens. We're going to Queens, So that was always my thing. I was like, I'm going to be an actor. And my family wasn't shocked by that, man. It's like, man, you've been doing this since you were a kid, imitating people and great personality. People will like you, they like working with you. You're a great guy. So I took that. I went to New York. I drove there, auditioned. And what do you know? I got in.
Tell me about the person that touched your heart and how they made you feel inspired or made you feel like you were a better person.
Wow, man. It has to be Denzel Washington. I know everybody loves Denzel. It's D, right? But Denzel spoke, I think, at Morehouse College once. And he was like, keep God first. Don't let anybody tell you what you can't do. No matter how many times you get told no, keep pushing because someone's going to give you that yes. And that inspired me to want to become an actor. And I was still in the military at the time when I saw that. And I saw that Wesley Snipes went to Purchase, and he was another actor that I admired. And I loved his work, man. The dude could do no wrong by me. And I was like, if I can get trained enough to perform like a Wesley Snipes on screen, then there's nothing that I can't do. And after listening to one of the GOATs, because I call Denzel the GOAT, greatest of all time, to hear him say that don't let anybody tell you what you can't do. Even my mom, being my hero, saying don't let anyone stop you from pursuing your dream, not even me. And I love my mom so much. And I went after it, man. And that's what inspired me. So a collaboration of her telling me that and listening to Denzel saying, how hard he worked in his drive, because I think he went to school for journalism or something like that. And he wanted an easy A, and he took acting classes just to get an easy A. But teacher told him how great he was. And look at him. He listened to his teacher, and he's a, 2-time Oscar winner. Yeah. He has a passion for it. So that's one of the things that inspired me was his speech that he gave at Morehouse one year.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
So, is there anything I should have asked you that I didn't get?
What? Is there a season 4 coming? I don't know. I don't know, man. Just looking for a platform for that if we get picked up, man. This contract that Marvel and Disney had with Netflix ends in November. So who knows? We could jump on somewhere like Hulu or Disney Plus. I don't know. But that's one of the most asked questions that we get asked all the time. Will we be back? Will there be a season 4? Hopefully there will be. I would love to step back into the shoes of Brett Mahoney and finish telling the story. I mean, it's also cool to leave on a strong note, not one of those shows that just dwindle down, but end strong. So, yeah, what's next? I don't know what's next as an actor, especially, with things going on right now and, the pandemic, and I don't know what's next, what's on the burner. But I'm excited to see how we're going to do things from now on. Yeah. And I know that this is not the end for, what I do for a living, and how I pay the bills. So I'm trying to see how they're going to evolve and have us do this job that we call acting, when this is done.
What advice would you give just people in general on how to accomplish their dreams? Because you're on track on doing that, and a lot of people always say, well, what can I do? How can I do this? It's impossible. What's the advice you would give?
Once again, like I said, don't be so hard on yourself. We're our hardest critics. And one guy, I talked to some kids that were in the Bronx. I think they were like, I don't know, troubled teens or whatever. And the detective asked me once would I come talk to him. And he wants to be a linebacker in the NFL. And this kid's like maybe 12 years old. And I told him, I said, who's your favorite player? He says, I don't know. I said, how often do you practice? He's like, I don't really practice that much. I just play the game. And I said, dude, how do you expect to be the best, running back or linebacker in the NFL or go to the NFL if you're not practicing? Or you don't have a favorite person to watch? Or I told him, you don't have to know your mentor. Like, I don't know Denzel personally. I don't know Morgan Freeman personally. I don't know Samuel Jackson or Don Cheadle personally. But I felt like they were my mentors because I watched the choices that they made in their careers. So I watched them and I let them lead me into finding myself and what I wanted to become in life. And it just so happened that I decided to become an actor. But I wanted to tell that kid, find someone to admire. Even if it's not around you, find someone that you look at and you admire, whether it's a rapper or a fireman, whatever you decide to be in life. I don't know, but just watch the certain television shows like I did. I watched cop shows because I knew I wanted to be a character or I wanted to portray a character that was in charge at the time. I wanted to just be a guy who was finding the evidence or chasing the crime scene. I just wanted to be that guy. And I became that guy. So the advice that I would give to a young person trying to pursue their dream is to surround yourself with people who do that type of work already. Watch shows or go online. There's so many resources out there that can give us the information on how to go about doing something like that. My little niece wants to make beats, So I told her, look, let's get some studio equipment. Let's listen to some sounds. What type of music do you listen to already? And let's start from there. Let's start from scratch. You don't have to start at the top of the mountain. You start at the bottom, you know, and grow from there. You have to plant the seed first. You're never going to know unless you try. And if you find out you're not good at it, I've had a lot of friends that started out as actors. Now they're stage managers or producers or directors. They found that they weren't great in front of the camera, so they liked it better behind the camera. How do you know if you don't even try?
That's some great advice, man. Great advice.
Right on, man. I mean, like I said, I came out of the military. I had no acting experience, but I said, let's give this a shot, man. Let's give this a shot. My mom and grandmother, they didn't know anything about monologues or anything like that, but I did it in front of people that I knew. And hey, I guess it worked. You know what I mean?
Yep. Wow.
Yeah,
Well, Royce, man, thank you for taking the time to talk with me and enlighten the audience on what to do and what not to do. And, you know, I also forgot to mention, it's not just 2 shows you were on. You were on 3 shows, because I forgot to mention Jessica Jones as well.
Yeah, right on, man. Kristen.
Yeah.
Man.
So,
yes.
I send you nothing but blessings, and I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Right on. Peace and love, brother. You know, I'm still at it, and we're going to continue to stay at it, bro.
Before I let you go, I've been getting emails from some of you about what I'm either eating or reading. And a couple of months ago, I had to take a trip with my girls, and we were looking for something interesting to listen to, and we discovered author Jennifer Estep. She has a young adult urban fantasy series called The Mythos Academy, and it focuses on a girl named Gwen Frost, a 17-year-old gypsy girl who has the gift of psychometry, or the ability to know an object's history just by touching it. And it was such a cool and interesting series. They ate up all 6 books. So that's what I'm reading right now, and I now have also discovered her other series called The Elemental Assassin. Really cool. She's a really cool author and writer. So that's what I'm reading this month. You definitely check her out. You can check out all her books if you go to jenniferestep.com. And that's what I'm reading this month. Thank you for listening to the Quidditas Factor. I'm your host, Michael J. Arbouet. If you like the show, please go to mikearbouet.com. That's MikeArbouet.com. Check out my films, my books, buy some merch, support the show, and thank you for listening.
Thanks so much for listening to The Quidditas Factor with Michael J. Arbouet. We'll catch you next time.